Like and subscribe right now, or this spider will crawl on your face while you're sleeping.
5 most legendary swords that actually exist. Today we're going to show you the top 5 most legendary swords that actually exist. Blade-like weapons have been with us since the beginning of time. We have slashed, cut, and pierced our way out of the prehistoric age when humans were tiny mammals in a world dominated by stronger, faster, and tougher predators. Millennia have gone by, and we aren't peaceful creatures still. Although we dominate our animals, nature has been getting frightening to us again through extreme natural disasters, wielding her sword on us. Still, swords are part of military training in modern armies. Most of it is ceremonial, while there are combat sports like fencing and bushido that train the mind and the soul through swashbuckling art. Exceptional swords have acquired a legendary status, as many cultures have established powerful links between the swords, magic, and power. In today's video, we will show you the most impressive swords we have found. Some of them are historic, infused with the legendary character of its owner, yet all of them have a disturbing aura around them. Can they attune with magic powers? Are they capable of supernatural feats? What do you think? Let us know in the comments which swords you didn't know about and which is your favorite. Now let's begin.
We are in need of swords. Then take it.
Number 5. Napoleon's Sword. At number 5, we brought you one of the swords that led the most epic campaign of the 19th century. The Napoleonic Wars saw a revolutionary transformed into an emperor in just a few years. Heroes and villains, genius and monsters, the owner of this blade was unique. If a fighter could stand 60 fights while only losing 7, we would call him a legend. Instead, what would we call someone who got this record in battle, with hundreds, even thousands of armed men in his command? It's hard to grasp the genius of Napoleon, how polemic he was. There are few historical figures like him. As he waged war against almost everyone and everything, some would say that he never stopped fighting, even against his victories and failures. Undoubtedly, Mr. Bonaparte is one of the most outstanding characters in the past millennium. Sadly, Napoleon's colossal ego led to his end. Intoxicated by past victories, like many charismatic warlords and politicians until now. So it was not too surprising that Napoleon's sword fetched more than $6.4 million in auction in 2007. According to experts, Napoleon took some of the ideas from the Mameluke swords to design this particular sword. It was gold encrusted, 32 inches long and a curved blade. Some claim that Napoleon valued the sword due to its sinister purposes, as he purportedly designed the curved edge not only for combat, but also for executions. The media asserted that France is protective of Napoleon's possessions, so one of the conditions of the auction was that the sword could not leave France. The reason the sword was on the auction block to begin with was because of discord within the Bonaparte family. Several sources claim that part of the family didn't even want to sell it. The unidentified woman who set off the bidding war bought the sword as a gift for her husband, one of Napoleon's descendants.
Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that will take just 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell and you get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it. It really works.
Number 4. Curved Saber of San Martin. At number 4, we have the saber that freed some of the largest countries in South America from Spanish domination. The Independence War between the Spanish Empire and its American colonies was one of the most remarkable epics of the 18th and 19th century. The Independence War was an ongoing conflict that went on for decades. Battles happened almost in every corner between Patagonia and the Rio Grande. José de San Martin was the most remarkable Argentine general, who led the southern part of the South American armies. According to records, his sword was one of his most cherished possessions. San Martin liked the saber's curved edge and enjoyed the weapon's maneuverability in battle. He armed his cavalry with similar weapons. Through training and innovative tactics, San Martin's cavalry charge attacks became one of the most dreaded of his time. The curved sword stayed with San Martin until his death, and was then passed down to the General de la República Argentina, Don Juan Manuel de Rosas. In his will, San Martin referred to the sword as, quote, "the saber that has accompanied me throughout the War of Independence of South America." Since 1896, the National Historical Museum in Buenos Aires protects the sword, where it remains today. In the 1960s, the sword was stolen on 2 separate occasions, which increased the emblematic weapon's legendary status. Number 3. Zulfikar Scimitar. At the third spot, we brought you the story of a blade that is part history, part divine. The Ali's scimitar, Zulfiqar. Ali was one of the most significant heroes in Middle Eastern history. Arguably, Ali's military prowess drew the Prophet Muhammad's admiration, who gave him an extraordinary weapon to lead the Islamic Caliphate and its army. Zulfiqar was the ancient and legendary sword that Ali wielded in uncountable battles, and there are legends about how Zulfiqar ended in his hands. Some stories claim that Muhammad gave him the sword during the Uhud battle after Ali split the sword and shield of the strongest Meccan warrior. Yet another version asserts that Archangel Gabriel delivered the blade directly to Ali. There is no doubt that Zulfiqar's story is infused with magic as well as faith. Ali was the Prophet Muhammad's cousin and son-in-law, ruling over the Islamic Caliphate from 656 to 661. Zulfiqar refers to a West Asian or South Asian sword with a curved blade. It is said that Ali used the sword at the Battle of the Trench, which is a famous siege attempt on the city of Medina. During the battle, Muhammad, Ali, and other Muslim defenders built a trench to protect Medina against the larger Confederate cavalry. A few conflicting images of the famous scimitar sword exist. Some of them describe the weapon as having two parallel blades, emphasizing its mystical abilities and speed, while others depict Zulfiqar as a more traditionally shaped scimitar. Some historical drawings portray the sword with a split V-shaped blade. According to the Twelver Shia, the weapon survives today, and the Imam Muhammad al-Mahdi keeps it. The weapon is part of the famous Al-Jafar collection. Best pick. Now get ready for today's best pick. This is a sword that united Western Europe in the Dark Ages, reshaping the entire history of the continent. Joyeuse is the French word for joyful. Sure, it's hard to imagine any joy from anyone fighting against its wielder. The Louvre Museum in Paris exhibits Joyeuse, which many consider one of the most enigmatic swords ever crafted. According to popular legend, Gallus forged the sword after 3 years of focused work. After Gallus delivered it to Charlemagne, the blade could outshine the sun, and like Excalibur, it would blind enemies in battle. Moreover, there are stories about its magical properties, like changing colors and a few technological secrets, like poison delivery carvings. Most historians agree that Charlemagne was the rightful owner of this legendary sword. He was also known as Charles the Great. Some ancient stories claim that Charles used Joyeuse's magical powers to unite 9th century Western Europe, which largely shaped the entire continent's medieval history. Number 1. Seven-branched sword. At the first spot, we brought you an ancient sword which seems to have protective powers. As impressive as it is, the seven-branched sword cannot be used in battle, but ceremonial purposes only. It's 30 inches long, with 6 branch-like protrusions, so it's tough to handle. The ritual weapon holds many secrets, like containing several inscriptions regarding ancient Japanese history. Archaeologic research suggests that the sword's origins lie in China's Jin dynasty around 369. Yet, experts claim that the peculiar design connects the weapon with contemporary Korean tree motifs. Other examples of this motif include the Baekje crown and the Silla crown. If the weapon were forged in Korea, it would have represented one of Baekje's swordsmith's most significant artistic accomplishments. The Ishinokami shrine safeguarded the sword for centuries. However, in 1870, Masatomo Kan, a Shinto priest, discovered 2 inscriptions on the seven-branched sword. One states, quote, "At noon on the 16th day of the 11th month, the 4th year of Taiwan era, the sword was made of 100 times hardened steel. Using the sword repels 100 enemy soldiers, appropriate for the polite Duke King." So many suspect that the sword was not only a ceremonial artifact, but a talisman with protective powers as well. The original seven-branched sword is currently housed in the Ishinokami shrine in Nara Prefecture in Japan. It is not on display to the public.